Hey everybody, it's the Mad Mattster here. I'm doing another video. This is the first in a series called Off the Cuff, where I just go off the cuff about certain things politically or with regards to pop culture or whatever. So today we're going to be tackling the leaked pictures of this upcoming Joker movie, which is based upon the DC Comics character, villain of numerous decades of Batman, specifically. And at first, I actually did have some hesitant excitement because I did think, well, Joaquin Phoenix is definitely a good actor. I am a big fan of his roles in films such as Quills or even The Master. I think he can play a role very well and has good emotion. So I was very excited to see what they would come up with. And lo and behold, I do like the approach they're making with this film because it's very retro in a certain way, but it's also kind of harkens back to Heath Ledger's Joker. And that's a cool thing because when Suicide Squad came out and they had Jared Leto's Joker with the whatever the fuck they were doing look, sort of almost like a Juggalo meets a Rasta rapper, I just thought it was shit. And I heard the movie was not so great either. And just a note about DC movies, I'm not going to go into this Marvel versus DC thing. I am a diehard fan of DC Comics when it comes to the comic book medium, especially their imprint, Vertigo, because some of my favorite characters and stories have come from that. So I think Marvel has always been more commercial. However, DC has had a very hard time in recent years translating their comics to the film medium. There's no denying that. And I lay the blame on people like Zack Snyder. Now, Zack Snyder is a controversial figure. I believe him to be basically Michael Bay with a few more IQ points and a little more geeky. I am that serious about criticizing Zack Snyder. I've never been a fan of his films that much. I loved the Nolan Batman, and that was really the last really good DC comics made in a film thing that came out until they started doing the DC extended universe or cinematic universe thing. You know, they're trying to tie it together, everything like Marvel did. And I really do like a lot of the Marvel movies as far as, well, I guess they're not counted. They don't count as Marvel movies yet because the two properties are owned by two different film companies, even though they're the same comic company. The X-Men movies, I really do like a lot of those. I didn't like X-Men Apocalypse. I thought that was a little, couldn't really watch that. And I love Deadpool. I have only seen like Iron Man and a few of the other, one of the Captain Americas and some of the other Marvel movies. I think they're decent. I don't think they're great. I think they're decent. But they are a hell of a lot better than a lot of the DC movies that come out. I couldn't make it through Man of Steel. I thought it was just pissing on the legacy of Superman in general and just was a convoluted mess of a pile of shit movie. I just did not like it. So I have a lot of opinions about the DC movies. But this one I want to see. Another thing about this is that I think they're going back to a more retroactive style of some of these characters. And I welcome that. I think a lot of fans welcome that. Old and young, because there is something to be said about what they turned Joker into in the Suicide Squad movie, and something to be said about what they are doing with a lot of these characters. And people want that classic trope, that classic feel, at least in some ways. And I'll give you another example. I may be doing a video about this, but there was a recent, there's the recent trailer for the Bumblebee Transformers movie, which is highly contested whether or not it's a reboot. I would say it mostly is to some extent, or it could be a soft reboot as they call it sometimes. And the characters look like the Generation 1, as they call it, or G1 for short, Transformers again. They don't look like the mess of Michael Bay's whatever puking a bunch of electronics and then putting it on a picture and then saying that's a Transformer. And you can actually see what the hell's going on in the film, in the action scenes, which I could not do in the Transformers movies with Michael Bay. So we are getting some treats as far as the geeks, as far as going back to some of these old school styles and ideas. Now, Joaquin Phoenix, I think, will do a good job in this film. And another thing about Todd Phillips, who I've seen a few movies of his, and I do like him, the director, also did a film about one of the original clowns as far as rock and roll goes, G.G. Allin. Yes, he is the one who directed G.G. Allin's Hated movie, which is kind of a documentary performance film about G.G. Allin, who's a punk musician who caused a lot of chaos and a ruckus, and I like a lot of his music. And he might actually bring some stuff into this film. Who knows, like the rock and roll clownery, as they call it, you know, some of the chaos. I think he can try to capture this feel, because that was such a good movie and such a kind of a groundbreaking documentary in some ways, because it just showed this guy that was so out of control in rock and roll, and we hadn't really had anybody that out of control at the time. Now, there's another thing. There might be some political angles to this movie, which is interesting too, because of this sign here: anti-authoritarian, anti-capitalist. A job is a right. Capitalism does not work for you. Capitalism does not work for you. Very interesting. So I think he might try to put that into that. And I can see, actually, it looks like they're trying to make, so check this out. So blame Wayne. So they're going to make Bruce Wayne into this evil capitalist and Joker as this anti-capitalist thing. I can just tell they're going to have a political bent there. You're going to root for the Joker because it's his origin story and they're doing a movie about him. I think you're going to be like, well, the Joker's not such a bad guy, but I think that's what they're going for with this film. I'm excited as fuck to see this film. I'm going to go see this in the theater, which I don't normally do with films like this or many of the comic book movies, other than like the Deadpools, which I've seen recently. I saw the second one in the theater, not the first one I saw. I rented that one. So I'm very excited. And pardon my disdain for comic book movies. I'm a lifelong comic book fan, so I don't really like a lot of what they've translated into film. And I agree with Alan Moore that sometimes comics are unfilmable, and oftentimes it's kind of like, well, we've got to like make things a little bit better with this stuff and just try to do something a little bit more novel and new and fun. Especially DC, where these ponderous 3-hour films full of Michael Bay-esque action sequences and ridiculous dialogue and drama, and they try to make this convoluted plot. And they just get back to basics. And I think this with his suit that looks more old school Joker, makeup that's sort of Ledger meets Nicholson. Nicholson, of course, the Joker of that Batman film, which is Tim Burton's film, was more chemically, this was caused by chemicals and he couldn't paint it off or wash it off. So it's more like the Ledger thing in that way, but the color scheme, especially the hair and this stuff, is definitely more old school Joker. So I love it. I'm going to see this film. I think I'll like it. And just like the Bumblebee film coming out, we're getting some treats as far as being, as far as nerds wanting to see things kind of going back to their roots with Transformers, Joker, and God knows what else that'll probably come out and be better. They're going to try to make these films better, I know, because they've been losing steam, some of them, and they want to make them better, and they're listening to the fans, I think. That's what's happening. So I'm excited, and please subscribe if you like this video, and you'll see more off-the-cuff videos to come, and enjoy my channel.